Good morning. This is Alana from the Red Angus Association. Today I'm covering on how to check if your animal has DNA on file with the RAAA. This is part 2 in our DNA series that we're uploading on YouTube, so I hope you enjoy it. First off, meet your DNA department. Up in the top, that's Miss Halla. She's the manager of memberships and DNA programs. She basically oversees the DNA department. Then we have Fallon on your left-hand side. She is the DNA programs coordinator, and she mostly handles the results. And then myself on the right-hand side, Alana. I'm a DNA/customer service specialist, and I handle the submissions here at Red Angus. So now to get into what we're actually looking at. So basically how to find the screen that I'm showing here, you go to data and then animal search and enter the registration number. And we're going to kind of go over where to find if an animal has DNA on file with us. So basically you're going to find that here. It says genetic details status, and it'll say parentage test. And this animal has SIRE and DAM qualify. We'll go over what that means here in the next slide. If you look over to your right, it says genomic data, and it says GGP, which we'll also cover later in the series. So basically, what does it mean? So this first one, SIRE and DAM qualify, it means that that animal qualifies or is verified to be from the SIRE and DAM that are listed in its pedigree. If you go over to the right-hand side, it'll say genomic data, and it says GGP. That means that a GGP test was done on this animal. It's still in the works on, us getting to the point where we can put on there if it was a ULD, LD, and HD, so be patient with us. We are working on that. The next one says SIRE qualify, DAM not on file. So basically the animal qualifies or is verified to be out of that SIRE, but the DAM does not have DNA on file with us. And we'll kind of cover our rules and regulations and what status that animal could be at. If you slide on over, you'll see the genomic data. It says GGP, so that means that this animal as well had a genomic test done on it. Going to the third one, it says SIRE qualifies, DAM not on file. That's not unlike the second scenario we just went over. But if you slide all the way over to the right, you'll see genomic data. It says not on file. That just basically means that a parentage test was ran on this animal and not a GGP test. So we do have a sample on the animal. It just was not a genomic. The next one we're going to go on to that says sample on file. And then I'm also going to go straight over to the case information confirmed with respective breed association. Both of these kind of go hand in hand, and I'm going to kind of go over the differences on these two, so that way hopefully you're not too confused when you see that. So basically the sample on file is generally a foreign animal that we have SNPs on, which is DNA, from the respective breed association. So this allows us to verify calves out of this animal. Now, with the case information confirmed, basically that means that we can see and confirm the animal has DNA, but we cannot verify animals out of them. So basically this just allows you to register the animals. It just doesn't allow you to verify them. The next part we're going to go over is exclusions. So if you ever see this in a pedigree of yours, you need to kind of get with Fallon to get this resolved. So basically it means that one part or all parts of the animal's pedigree is incorrect, such as SIRE excluded means the calf does not qualify to that SIRE. SIRE and DAM excluded means that the calf does not verify to either SIRE or DAM. So basically to correct this, you need to talk to Fallon to get the pedigree resolved. This animal would be on B status, which means that you cannot transfer. You can't add data, like such as calves or anything to this animal until the pedigree is resolved. So basically this warrants you giving Fallon either a phone call or an email to try to get this resolved. So the next part we're going to go over is DNA not on file. In the first picture, there's no physical sample in-house on the SIRE or DAM, but the SIRE is case confirmed, which allows the calf to be registered but not verified too. So that kind of goes back to what we talked about earlier. Basically, if you had pulled up this animal's pedigree, you would click on the SIRE and then it would say case confirmed on the SIRE, which then brings us back to the animal you're looking at that says SIRE and DAM not on file, but this animal is at R status, which means registered, because we can use that DNA, we just can't verify. Picture 2 basically says no sample on file. And pretty much what that means is that we do not have a sample on it. Now, that doesn't mean that there isn't a sample maybe processing, and maybe that's worth a phone call to us just to see if somebody had submitted a sample. But basically, we don't have a sample on file for the animal yet. We haven't received any results. So now we're going to cover what statuses are. So basically, B, as we talked about before, is an animal itself or one of its parents has excluded, and basically you need to provide options to Fallon. Now to go over the U, which is a genetic defect hold. So it means somewhere in the pedigree we need, or we've seen that we need to test for an intervening free animal, which I will cover kind of your options a little bit later on. Z means that the sire or donor dam does not have any DNA on file with us. So basically in this instance, you would need to submit DNA on the sire or the donor dam to get this result. And basically, as I've shown before, you can go in and take a look at that animal and read in their pedigree to see who doesn't have it on or who doesn't have DNA. And then you can go ahead and submit that to us and hopefully clear up your calf. So now I'm going to kind of go over our rules and regulations part and kind of how we take a look at different animals within our system. So basically the first question is, what's the mating of your animal? So if it's a natural, it's 2 generations on each side. So when you pull up an animal in Reds Pro and you see that pedigree at the bottom, if you don't see an OSC or something, C means carrier, then you are A-okay, good to go. That's kind of how we draw the line at the 2 generations. So if you look in that pedigree and you don't see any of that in there, you should be good. Now in AI sire, we checked all generations on the sire. So we're going to go back as far as we possibly can to see if there's an OSC or MAC or whatever it may be. We only checked 2 generations on the dam side. And to follow up with the last one, which is ET, we're going to check all generations on sire and the dam. And basically this is because they have the most ability to impact the breed. So let's say you flush your dam, we end up finding out that she's a carrier later down the road. If we didn't have these kind of rules and regulations to test that and have the DNA on file, then you would have to test X amount of progeny and it'd be quite the ordeal. So that's kind of why we have that rule in there, that we need to have DNA on file for all sires and all donor dams. So now I'm going to teach you on where to go to find if a specific animal needs genetic defect testing. So you'll log in, you'll go to your reports and downloads, my reports, and then you can do a quick group. And all you have to do is type in the animal's registration number. And basically I'll show you on the next couple of screens what that kind of looks like and kind of how to read that. The other option you have is you can pull a group such as your active inventory. I would kind of caution you with this because if you're pulling your active inventory and let's say you have 150 animals, this is going to get confusing very quick because there is an entry for every single test that you've tested on that animal. So if you tested it for MA, there's a line. If you've tested it for OS, there's a line. So if you have 150 animals, you could have 300 plus lines in there just depending on who you've tested. So I would urge you to go with the first part of this and not the second part. It's much easier to take a look at one animal or maybe 2 animals and see what's been done on them. So in order to actually pull the genetic testing summary, you're going to select on the right-hand side of that screen. It'll say genetic defect suspect summary. And that's what's going to generate that report for you. So the next part, we're going to talk about actually reading that suspect summary. So I'm going to kind of go through a couple scenarios with you. As you can see, this animal I've pulled has a OS carrier in the pedigree 9 generations back. So basically, if this animal is an AI sire to your calves, you would need to test it for OS because we check all generations on the AI sire. If this was a natural service sire, then you would not need to test it because we only check 2 generations back on it. Now, going along those same lines, if this was the dam to your calf and it was a natural service, she would not need to be tested because we only check 2 generations. On the other hand, if she was a donor dam, she would need to be tested because we check all generations on our donor dams. So if you ever have any questions about this or how we go about that, we're always happy to help you. Feel free to give us a call or shoot us an email. So another scenario, as you can see, this animal has tested free and it says 0 number of generations. So basically the animal you're looking at has been tested for MA and OS, and that's showing because it says 0 generations. So that basically means you're looking at that animal and that animal was tested. So briefly kind of going over testing the SIRE or DAM versus calves regarding defects. Basically, if you have the opportunity to test the SIRE or DAM, it's one test versus testing all progeny. And basically what we're looking for is an intervening free. So let's say SIRE A, you mated to DAM B, and you find out that, SIRE A has OS carrier 9 generations back, and this was an AI breeding. So if you have the opportunity to test the SIRE, that would be better than having to test whoever you mated as far as your dams to SIRE A and testing all of the progeny from that. So it's just more of a convenience factor to test one animal versus, the resulting progeny. Now, let's say SIRE A comes back as an OS carrier, then you would have to test the resulting progeny, basically until you have an intervening free. If you have any questions or you want to go over something like that more in detail, feel free, again, to give us a call. Also, I want to mention that you can take a look at our order form for pricing and the genetic defects that we monitor. Those defects are AM, CA, MA, NH, OS, and DD. So we monitor all 6 of them. Now, if you go onto our website by going to genetics, DNA testing, and then genetic defect, we have more defects on there that we necessarily do not monitor, like double muscling. So don't freak out and think that we're monitoring for all of those on there. Like I said, we only monitor the 6. And again, those are AM, CA, M8, NH, OS, and DD. If you ever have any questions about those or what they are or how that kind of works out in your herd, again, feel free to give us a call, and we're happy to go over it with you and just to put a second pair of eyes on whatever you're looking at. Like I said, you can give us a call at 940-387-3502. Extension 8 is just the DNA line. Extension 7 will take you to Fallon, or extension 14 will take you to myself. You can also email both of us at dna@redangus.org. Also, if you ever need any testing kits, if you hold an account with us at Red Angus, we provide hair and blood cards to you for free. That's just a service that we provide to our members. If you have any questions about that or see if you qualify for that, like I said, go ahead and shoot us an email or give us a call. I hope that this cleared up some questions for you and that it was informative. And if you have any subjects that you want us to cover in the rest of our DNA series, feel free to reach out to us. Thanks, and have a great day.